Dad, I think it's time you consider moving into a nursing home. Wait, no, hold on, that wasn't quite right for me. It was my daughter who said it, actually. Mom, I think it's time we talk about assisted living for you. Those words from my daughter Emily hit me like a freight train barreling through the quiet suburbs of Chicago one crisp autumn morning about a year ago. Assisted living. To me, that sounded like the beginning of the end, a polite way of saying, "You're done, pack it up." But here I am today, at 72 years young, living comfortably on just $600 a month. No assisted living facility, no round-the-clock aide hovering over me, and I'm about to share exactly how I pulled it off, right here in the heart of the Midwest. My name is Margaret Ellis. I'm a retired elementary school teacher from Oak Park, Illinois, a leafy suburb just west of the Windy City. I spent 35 years shaping young minds in the Chicago public school system, teaching third graders everything from multiplication tables to the wonders of the Great Lakes. I retired at 65, thinking I'd have endless days of gardening, book clubs, and spoiling my grandkids. But life had other plans. My husband, Tom, passed away 5 years ago from a sudden heart attack. We were high school sweethearts, married for 47 years. One day, he was out mowing the lawn, complaining about the Bears' latest loss, and the next, gone. The house, our cozy two-story colonial with the wraparound porch, suddenly felt like an empty museum. Echoes of laughter faded into silence. And as the years ticked by, my body started betraying me too. Arthritis in my hands made gripping a trowel painful. My knees protested every time I knelt to weed the flower beds. Grocery shopping turned into an Olympic event. Lifting bags left me winded, and those steep basement stairs, forget about it. I see some of you in the comments nodding along. Maybe you're in your 60s or 70s, staring down the barrel of the same questions. Where do I fit now? How do I keep going without becoming a burden? Everyone's got an opinion. Move in with the kids, hire help, check into a senior community. But let me tell you, none of those might be the golden ticket you're hoping for. Before we dive deeper, if you're new here, hit that like button and subscribe. This channel is all about real stories from real folks redefining aging in America. We talk Midwest values, hard work, community, resilience, and how they apply to our golden years. Trust me, today's tale will flip your script on retirement living.
So, let's rewind to where it all started going sideways. After Tom died, I toughed it out alone for a couple of years. I could still drive to the local Jewel Osco for groceries, tend my vegetable garden, tomatoes, zucchinis, and herbs were my pride and joy, and even volunteer at the library story hour. But slowly, the cracks appeared. My fingers swelled like sausages on humid days, making it hard to button shirts or chop vegetables. I'd forget things. Leaving the stove on once nearly caused a fire. And the isolation? Brutal. Winters in Chicago are no joke. Snow piles up, sidewalks turn to ice rinks, and cabin fever sets in. One particularly nasty February, I slipped on black ice in the driveway, twisting my ankle. Nothing broken, but it swelled up like a balloon. Lying there in the snow, staring at the gray sky, I thought, what if no one finds me? What if this is it? That scare prompted me to call Emily. She's my only child, living in downtown Chicago with her husband Mark and their 2 kids, Lily, 10, and Max, 7. "Honey," I said over the phone, my voice shakier than I intended, "what would you think if I came to stay with you for a bit, just until spring?" Emily didn't miss a beat. "Mom, of course. We've got the guest room ready. The kids will love having Grandma around." Mark chimed in on speakerphone, all enthusiasm. It sounded perfect. I packed up essentials, locked the house, and moved into their high-rise condo overlooking Lake Michigan. The first week was a dream. Family breakfasts with pancakes and fresh fruit, helping Lily with homework, fractions, just like old times, playing board games with Max, who insisted on Monopoly every night. The city buzz energized me, walks along the lakefront trail, even if my knees complained. I thought, this is it. This is where I belong now. But as the days turned to weeks, the honeymoon faded. Emily and Mark both worked demanding jobs. She's a marketing exec. He's in finance. They'd leave at 7 a.m., kids off to school by 8, leaving me alone in that sleek, modern apartment. It was beautiful, floor-to-ceiling windows, stainless steel everything, but sterile. No garden to tend, no neighbors popping by for coffee. Then the little frictions started. "Mom, could you maybe not use so much butter in the eggs? We're trying to eat healthier." Fair enough, but it stung, like my cooking wasn't good enough anymore. "Grandma, can you keep the volume down on your shows? I need to concentrate." Max said it innocently, but it reminded me I was disrupting their routine. One evening, I overheard Emily on a call with her sister-in-law. "It's great having Mom here, really, but it's exhausting. The kids are used to their space, and she's slowing down. I worry about her falling in the shower or something." Her voice dropped. "And honestly, the condo feels crowded. I love her, but I need my own time." Those words pierced me deeper than any arthritis flare-up. I wasn't family anymore. I was an obligation.
A subscriber once commented on one of my videos, "Living with kids sounds ideal, but space is sacred. Independence keeps the peace." They nailed it. After 2 months, I sat Emily down. "Sweetie, I'm going home. I appreciate everything, but I need my own place." She protested, tears in her eyes. "Mom, it's not safe. What if you fall again?" I hugged her tight. "I'll figure it out. I can't be a guest in my daughter's home forever." Driving back to Oak Park, the familiar tree-lined streets welcomed me. Relief washed over me, but so did reality. The house needed dusting, the garden was overgrown with weeds, and those stairs mocked me every time I climbed them. Back home, I managed for a few weeks, but the daily grind wore me down. Kneeling to pull weeds sent shooting pains through my knees. Carrying laundry baskets? Forget it. I'd drop socks halfway down. Vacuuming left me breathless. One sunny afternoon, I tried planting new tomato seedlings. My hands shook, dirt spilling everywhere. I sat back on the grass, frustrated tears blurring my vision. This is how it ends, I thought, piece by piece, losing what I love. So I researched in-home help. Not full-time, that felt like admitting defeat, but part-time, maybe 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, enough to handle chores without invading my privacy. The agency sent Clara first. She was in her late 40s, bubbly, with a thick Chicago accent. "Mrs. Ellis, let's get this place sparkling." She dusted, mopped, even weeded the garden while I supervised from a lawn chair. We chatted about her kids, the Cubs' chances this season. It felt companionable. For a bit, I relaxed. This could work, I told myself. Then the invoice arrived. $2,800 for the month. My pension and Social Security totaled $2,500, barely covering basics like utilities, food, and property taxes. Dipping into savings every month? Unsustainable. And the adjustments graded. I liked my kitchen organized a certain way. Spices alphabetical. Clara rearranged for efficiency. Small thing, but in my home, it irked me. Clara lasted a month before quitting for a better-paying gig. Next came Donna, efficient but curt. No chit-chat, she worked like a machine. Fine, but lowly. Then she called in sick twice a week. The third aide, Raj, was kind but new to the job. Broke a vase accidentally. Each change meant re-explaining routines. "No, the laundry goes in the basement, not upstairs." Exhausting. A forum post I read online stuck with me. "Caregivers buy time, not peace. If you're still capable, fight for independence." I wasn't bedridden. Why pay a fortune to feel like I was? I canceled the service after 3 months. Account lighter by thousands. Now, options dwindled. Emily researched facilities. "Mom, there's this place in Evanston. Nice, affordable at $3,200 a month. Meals, activities, on-site nurses." I resisted. I'm not ready for that. But another fall, tripping over a garden hose, bruising my hip, pushed me. 1-month trial, I agreed. Packing felt surreal, like preparing for a long vacation I didn't want. The facility, Willow Grove Senior Living, looked postcard perfect. Manicured lawns, cheerful lobby with fresh flowers. My suite was compact. A bedroom, sitting area, tiny kitchenette. "Homey," the director said. I forced a smile. First days weren't awful.
Met residents over bingo, Harold, a retired accountant with jokes, Sophie, a former nurse sharing recipes. Meals in the dining hall, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, jello, decent Midwestern comfort food. Group outings to the Botanic Garden perked me up, but by week 2, the regimentation chafed. Breakfast at 7 a.m. sharp, miss it, tough luck. Meds distributed at set times, evening lights dimmed at 9 p.m. I'm a night owl, love reading mysteries till midnight. But a nurse knocked. Mrs. Ellis, time to wind down. Wind down? I'm 72, not 5. One afternoon, I craved fresh air beyond the fenced patio. Can I walk to the corner store? Staff shook their heads. Policy, escorted only for safety. Safety. That word became my cage. My roommate, Ethel, was sweet but chatted incessantly about her ailments. My gout's acting up again. I nodded politely, but inside I screamed for quiet. Requested a room change. We'll see, they said. Nothing happened. Activities felt forced. Chair yoga, trivia nights. I missed my garden soil under my nails, the freedom to brew tea at 2 a.m. After 20 days, I called Emily. I'm out. This isn't living, it's existing. She sighed. Mom, give it time. Time for what? To forget who I am? Checking out, the air felt crisper, the sky bluer. Freedom. Back in Oak Park, elation mixed with despair. I'd tried it all. Family, aides, facility, none fit. For days, I moped on the porch, watching neighbors hustle. Young families with strollers, joggers, dog walkers. Life pulsed around me, but I felt sidelined. Then one spring afternoon, strolling, slowly, through Scoville Park, I overheard a conversation that changed everything. 2 moms on a bench. I can't keep up with the yard. Work's killing me. Tell me about it. My tomatoes are dying and the kids want fresh veggies. I paused, eavesdropping shamelessly. Gardening, my wheelhouse. Without thinking, I approached. Excuse me, ladies, couldn't help but hear. I'm Margaret, live on Grove Avenue. Used to teach, but my real passion's gardening. If you need tips or help starting a plot, I'd be happy to share. They looked surprised, but smiled. Really? That'd be amazing. I'm Lisa, this is Jen. Our backyards are disasters. We exchanged numbers. Next day, Lisa texted, any chance you could look at my garden? I'll bring coffee. I agreed, hobbling over with my cane. Her yard was a mess. Weeds choking fledgling plants. See here, I said, pointing. Mulch around the bases to retain moisture and prune those suckers on the tomatoes. She nodded eagerly. In return, she offered, my husband's handy with tools. Need anything fixed? Actually, my fence is sagging. Done deal. That sparked it, the garden swap. Word spread. Jen told her book club. Soon 3 more neighbors joined. We'd meet Saturdays. I'd teach composting, pest control, heirloom varieties. They'd help weed my plot, carry heavy bags of soil, even shovel snow come winter. It wasn't just transactional. Bonds formed. Over iced tea, Lisa shared work stresses. I listened, offering teacherly advice. Jen's kids helped harvest, learning about pollinators. One boy, Timmy, 8, beamed when his first carrot sprouted. Grandma Margaret, look! He called me that. Melted my heart. Costs? Minimal. Seeds, tools, $50 a month. Groceries from the garden, slashed bills. Utilities, basics, total $600. But the real savings? Emotional. No loneliness. Community filled the void. Let me pause here to address a common question in the comments. But what if you're not a gardener? Fair point. The principle's the same. Leverage what you know. Maybe you're a whiz with knitting, teaching classes for yarn and return, or baking, swapping loaves for rides. It's about mutual value in America's heartland, where neighbors help neighbors. As the group grew to 8, we formalized a bit, a shared Google Calendar for tasks. One evening, after a productive session, Lisa said, Margaret, you've saved my sanity. I was overwhelmed. Now I look forward to weekends. I teared up. You've given me purpose. I thought retirement meant fading away. A viewer comment echoes this. Community isn't given, it's built. Start small, watch it grow. But challenges arose. My arthritis flared during a heat wave, couldn't grip clippers. The group stepped up, rotated duties. Then a storm damaged my trellis. Jen's husband fixed it gratis. Reciprocity bred trust. Emily visited, amazed. "Mom, this is incredible. You're thriving." I nodded. It's not about being taken care of, it's about contributing. Expanding further, I started a neighborhood newsletter, tips on sustainable living. More joined. Costs stayed low, satisfaction soared. Lessons? First, health is foundational. Stay active. Gardening's gentle exercise. Second, money buys services, not souls. $3,200 for assisted living bought comfort, but stole spirit. $600 buys freedom with friends. Third, age brings wisdom. Share it. I have time, young families don't. Win-win. Fourth, adapt. When knees ache, sit and supervise. Pride swallows hard, but humility opens doors. If this resonates, like, subscribe, comment your retirement dreams. Midwest strong. We got this. Wait, but that's not the end. As summer peaked, something unexpected happened that tested our little network. The storm hit in late July, the kind of Midwest thunderstorm that rolls in like an angry freight train, dumping inches of rain in minutes and whipping winds that rattle windows and strip leaves from trees. I was in my living room, nursing a cup of chamomile tea and watching the radar on my phone when the first crack of lightning lit up the sky like a camera flash. Then came the crash, something heavy and metallic slamming against the side of the house. I shuffled to the window, cane in hand, heart thumping harder than it should. Outside, my old wooden trellis, the one Tom built in 1998 for the climbing roses, lay in splintered pieces across the flower bed. The roses themselves were flattened, petals scattered like confetti after a parade. Rain hammered the roof so loud I could barely think. I stood there for a long minute, staring at the wreckage, feeling a strange mix of anger and defeat. That trellis had survived blizzards, heat waves, and 3 kids' childhoods. Now it was gone in one summer night. I didn't cry, not then. I just turned off the lights and went to bed, listening to the wind howl. The next morning, the sky was a washed-out blue, puddles everywhere, and the air smelled like wet earth and broken green things. I stepped outside carefully, surveying the damage. The garden was a mess. Tomato plants bent double, zucchini leaves torn. The raised beds I'd built with Tom's help half flooded. My knees ached just looking at it. I could have called Emily. She'd have come over with Mark and the kids, probably brought coffee and sympathy. But I didn't want sympathy. I wanted to fix it myself, or at least be part of the fixing. So I texted the group chat I'd started calling the Grove Gardeners. Simple message: storm took out the trellis and flattened half the beds. Anyone free this weekend to help resurrect the garden? Coffee and cinnamon rolls on me. Responses poured in within minutes.
I'm there Saturday morning, bringing my husband's cordless drill and a new tarp. Count me in. The kids can help pick up debris. They love playing in mud. Timmy's mom, Sarah, who joined last month after moving in down the block, we'll bring seedlings from our failed attempt at sunflowers. Maybe they'll do better in your yard. Even Harold, the retired accountant from down the street who'd never gardened a day in his life but loved the social hour, chimed in. I'll bring the beer. Non-alcoholic for the kids, of course. By Saturday morning, 8 of us were in my backyard, tools in hand, mud on shoes, laughter cutting through the humid air. We worked slowly, my pace, not theirs. I sat on the old Adirondack chair Tom had painted blue, pointing and directing like a general. See that broken stake? Pull it out gently, we can reuse the good wood. Lisa, mulch goes thicker around the tomatoes, about 3 inches. It'll hold the moisture. Timmy, careful with those worms. They're good guys. The kids ran around collecting broken branches for the compost pile, shrieking every time they found a particularly fat earthworm. Max, my grandson, had come with Emily that day too. He'd never been much for dirt, but watching Timmy and the others, he got curious. Soon he was knee-deep in mud, proudly showing me a handful of worms he'd rescued. We rebuilt the trellis together. Jen's husband, Carlos, measured twice, cut once, and used the salvaged wood plus some new cedar boards he'd picked up on sale. Lisa's drill whirred as they secured cross pieces. I handed them screws, feeling useful in the smallest way. By late afternoon, the new trellis stood taller and sturdier than the original. We planted fresh climbing roses, pink ones, Tom's favorite, and tied them gently with soft twine. As the sun dipped lower, we dragged lawn chairs into a circle on the patio. Someone had brought a cooler. Harold cracked open root beers for the kids and real ones for the adults. Lisa passed around a tray of cinnamon rolls still warm from her oven. The conversation drifted from gardening to life, the way it always did with this group. Sarah, wiping mud from her daughter's cheek, looked at me. "So, I don't know how you do it. I'm 38 and I'm exhausted every day. You're out here rebuilding a garden at 72. I laughed, a real one that felt good in my chest. "I'm not rebuilding it alone, dear. That's the secret. I used to think asking for help meant I was weak. Turns out letting people in is the strongest thing I've ever done." Emily, sitting cross-legged on the grass with Max in her lap, gave me a look I couldn't quite read. Part pride, part something softer, almost apologetic. Later, when the others had gone and the backyard was quiet again, she hugged me tight on the porch. "Mom, I was wrong," she said quietly. "I thought bringing you to the city would be better for you. I thought you needed us to take care of you, but you're doing better here than I've seen you in years." I squeezed her back. I needed to figure out what I still had to give. Turns out it's more than I thought. That summer turned into the best one I'd had since Tom passed. The garden flourished. We harvested tomatoes by the bushel, enough to can, share, and even sell a few at the local farmers market on Saturdays. The kids learned how to tell when a zucchini is perfect, how to deadhead marigolds so they keep blooming. The adults learned each other's stories. Lisa's divorce 2 years earlier, Jen's struggle with a special needs son, Carlos's fear of losing his job during a company merger. We listened. We helped. We didn't judge. Costs stayed low. My monthly budget broke down like this: $1,200 rent. The house was paid off, but taxes and insurance added up. $300 utilities, $200 groceries. The garden cut that in half most months. $100 transportation. I still drove short distances, used rideshare when needed, and the rest for incidentals: seeds, tools, occasional takeout. Grand total hovered around $600 out of pocket after Social Security and my teacher's pension. No caregiver bills, no facility fees. Just life. Shared. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and roses, literally or figuratively. My arthritis didn't magically disappear. Some mornings I woke up stiff as a board, fingers swollen, knees throbbing. On those days, I'd text the group, "Not feeling great today. Can someone check the watering?" Someone always did. Lisa would stop by with a thermos of soup. Jen would bring Max over to help Grandma rest while he played quietly in the living room. The system worked because no one kept score. Help came freely, and so did gratitude. Fall arrived with its usual drama, leaves turning gold and red, air crisp enough to make my cheeks pink. We harvested the last of the squash, pulled up spent plants, and planted garlic cloves for next spring. I started a small indoor herb garden on the sun porch, basil, mint, rosemary, so I'd have fresh flavors through winter. The group began meeting indoors when the weather turned, rotating houses for potlucks and planning sessions. We talked about expanding, maybe a community composting bin, a seed swap, even a little neighborhood greenhouse someday. One chilly November evening, after a dinner of roasted root vegetables from the garden and Lisa's famous apple crisp, Harold raised his coffee mug. "To Margaret," he said, "the woman who turned a bunch of strangers into a family." Everyone laughed, but I felt tears prick my eyes. "To all of us," I corrected. "We're in this together." Emily and the kids came for Thanksgiving that year.
We set the table in the dining room, the one Tom and I had bought at an estate sale in 1985. The room smelled of sage and cinnamon. Max and Lily helped set out the place cards, each one a little drawing of a vegetable they'd grown. We ate turkey, store-bought because none of us hunted, mashed potatoes, green beans, and 3 different kinds of pie. After dinner, the kids ran around the backyard with flashlights, hunting for the last stubborn tomatoes clinging to the vines. Emily found me in the kitchen, washing dishes. She took the sponge from my hand gently. "Mom, I'm proud of you. I was scared you'd be lonely. I was scared you'd need me in a way that made us both miserable. But you built something better." I dried my hands and pulled her into a hug. "I needed you to let me go, sweetheart, and you did. That was the kindest thing you could have done." Winter came as it always does in Illinois, long, gray, and cold. Snow blanketed the garden, turning the trellis into a white sculpture. I spent more time indoors, reading mysteries, knitting scarves for the kids, watching the birds at the feeder Carlos had hung for me. The group still checked in, texts, quick porch visits with hot cocoa, snow shoveling crews that appeared before I even asked. I never felt trapped. I felt held. Spring arrived slowly, the way it does here, teasing us with warm days, then dumping snow one last time just to remind us who's boss. But when the ground finally thawed, we were ready. We turned the soil, added compost, planted new seeds. The roses climbed the rebuilt trellis, stronger than before. The kids grew taller, the adults grew closer. I turned 73 that April. The group threw me a surprise party in the backyard. String lights, folding tables, a cake with garden vegetables made of fondant. Lily gave me a card she'd drawn, me in overalls holding a giant tomato surrounded by stick figure friends. Inside she'd written, "To Grandma Margaret, the best gardener and the best friend." I keep that card on the fridge. People still ask me in comments and emails, "But what happens when you get really sick, when you can't garden anymore?" Fair question. I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe one day I'll need more help, medication management, mobility aids, maybe even a part-time aide. But I'm not afraid of that day anymore, because I won't face it alone. I've built something stronger than walls or weekly schedules, a circle of people who care, not because they're paid to, but because we've chosen each other. Health remains the foundation. Gentle exercise, good food from the garden, regular checkups. Community is the structure, mutual aid, laughter, shared burdens. Purpose is the roof, knowing I still have something to offer, even on days when my hands shake and my knees complain. I'm not saying this is the only way. Maybe your path is different. Maybe you'll thrive in assisted living, or with family, or with professional caregivers. There's no shame in any of those choices. But if you're like me, if the traditional options feel like giving up, look around. Ask yourself, what do I still have to offer? Who might need it? Start small. A conversation, an offer, a seed planted. Because in the heartland, we've always known neighbors aren't just people next door. They're the people who show up when the storm hits and stay to help you rebuild. I'm 73 now. I live alone, but I'm not lonely. And every morning when I step onto the porch with my coffee, look out at the garden waking up, and hear the first birds of spring, I think of Tom. I think he'd be proud. Not because I'm tough, but because I learned to let others be strong for me, too. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What's one thing you still have to offer your community? I read every single one. Thank you for being here with me. Remember, your best years aren't behind you. They're growing right now, one shared moment at a time.